Hello, my name is Abigail and welcome back to Polyglot Progress. One of my goals this year was to participate in at least one challenge per each of my target languages. These could be anything from pushing myself to study every single day, to participating in some sort of challenge organized online, to partaking in something like a readathon in one of my target languages. Overall, pretty flexible, just wanted to do at least one per language. I'm not new to language challenges. In fact, there are videos on this channel of me doing the Add One challenge before I even went to college. But it is the first year that I've set this as a goal for myself, and like all of my goals, it was something that I wanted to try out. I didn't necessarily know if I was going to be sticking with it, or if maybe challenges were just something that I should do as I kind of heard about them and became interested in them. However, I have absolutely loved working on this goal, and I think that this is something that I may push myself to do every single year from here on out. And I feel like a lot of you may now be wondering why that is, when I definitely did not have a lot of time for language learning this year, and also just wondering why I'm so into language challenges in general, when as a whole I tend to be a very intuitive language learner, and I tend to not stress over trying to learn languages as fast as humanly possible or anything like that. So today I just want to talk about why I feel like they benefit my language learning and why you might find them really helpful as well. I think when people hear the term language challenge, they probably think of something really intensive, maybe something like the 40-hour 7 days language challenge, where you're supposed to study or use your target language for 40 hours in the span of 1 week. And while those aren't the only challenges that I like to participate in and that I'm going to be talking about in this video, I do find those really useful as well. And those are probably the most shocking given how I approach language learning as a whole normally. However, intensive language challenges can give you this really quick boost in progress that I think in turn can give you a really good boost in your motivation and your confidence. While the way you study during an intensive language challenge is very, very likely not sustainable at all beyond the challenge, it can be a really effective way to learn in a small period of time. For example, I have participated in the 40-hour 7 days language challenge twice. And while I didn't end up even hitting 40 hours either time, and hitting 40 hours every week, or even really striving to, is just not at all sustainable for my current lifestyle, I did have a lot of fun participating in the challenge and was able to see a really quick boost of progress in the target languages that I was studying, which just made me really happy. It gave me a really good boost of confidence in those languages, and it just made me even more excited to continue learning those languages after the challenge ended. So while challenges and the results you see from them don't really reflect the optimal way for you to study and how you should continue studying in the future, a language challenge can be a great little sort of push forward that gives you a little boost of progress, a little boost of confidence, a little boost of motivation. However, while challenges can be great for a little boost of progress and for motivating you because of that progress, I think my number one reason that I love language challenges is actually that it takes so much of the pressure off of progressing. Instead of thinking about and focusing on what you can and can't do in a language, or what level you have, or where you feel like you should be, or anything like that, your focus suddenly becomes completing the challenge and doing whatever you have to do for the challenge, which then takes away all of the pressure and worry over whether or not you're learning fast enough. The 40-hour 7 days language challenge is another great example for this one, because for a week, you're not focused on your level, what you can do, what you can't do, how you're doing things. Instead, you're purely focused on doing things because you need to hit 40 hours. And so you end up making progress without the anxiety and judgment that comes with wondering if you're doing things the right way or the wrong way. And at least in my case, I feel like I often was making this progress without even realizing it until the end of the challenge, because I was so focused on watching more shows or spending a little bit more time with my textbook, or just doing more things in the language that I wasn't even thinking about the progress that I was or wasn't making. And I honestly have noticed in my own life that I think when I let go of thinking about progress and let go of trying to figure out those most efficient, most effective ways to learn a language, that's actually when I end up making more progress, probably because then I'm less caught up in the cycle of like finding better resources or figuring out what my study sessions will look like, or thinking about all of the theory behind it, and instead am just using my target language more and benefiting that way. Plus, I'm having a lot more fun. Language challenges also give you a lot of room to experiment and find things that you might want to actually include in your normal study routine. There are so many things that I do now in my just normal language learning routine that I do because I tried them during a challenge and realized that I really enjoyed them and really benefited from them. I think the really obvious example of this is when I learned like Elise de Vega for 2 weeks for a video. Learning like someone else, I was forced to try things that I maybe didn't do super often or didn't really do at all. And in doing all of that, I realized that I really liked some of those things and really wanted to continue doing those things. And before people ask, yes, I am going to be making more of these. They just take a long time to coordinate and to film and to edit. And as you know, I haven't really been posting much this year, so these have not really gotten to continue yet. I also feel like the Lingoda language sprint is a good example of this because you're taking classes every single day. And in my experience, taking a class every single day gave me a lot of room to experiment with how I wanted to approach group classes. Did I want to take a lot of notes before the class and really review the material or just dive right into it? Did I want to ask a lot of questions throughout the class? How do I like to participate in classes? What is the best note-taking strategy for me to use, or do I even want to take notes during classes? These are all things that I kind of got to play around with, and by the end, I really feel like I had kind of figured out the best approach for me. Every challenge is obviously different, and like I said, they might not always be directly transferable into a sustainable routine, but I think there's things that you can learn from every challenge in terms of your own process with language learning, and I think they provide a really nice sort of sandbox for you to play around with and figure out what works well and what doesn't work well for you. And because they're a great way for you to play around with new things and experiment and try things that you wouldn't normally do, I think challenges are also a great way to push yourself out of your comfort zone, which is really beneficial for both your language learning and your life. If you've been subscribed to this channel for even a little while, you probably know that I have pretty bad anxiety, and if you've been subscribed for a long time, you might remember that there was a long time where I was very anxious and worried and really disliked in general taking language classes, and that is no longer the case. I'm no longer anxious about speaking with a tutor I've talked to for a while and making a mistake or anything like that, and I definitely feel like that is a result of me pushing myself out of my comfort zone in terms of taking more language lessons and getting myself to do that, and also with pushing myself outside of my comfort zone in the rest of my life and getting myself more used to situations like that. And language challenges really give you a chance to push yourself out of your comfort zone and work through some of those reservations or fears you may have learning your target language, like speaking. Even though I have come a long way in terms of my anxiety and in terms of speaking my target languages, I did come into this year with like a mental block when it came to speaking German. Even though I was conversational and I objectively knew that I could have conversations in German, I did it very frequently with various conversation partners and tutors on italki. Whenever I wasn't speaking German actively, for whatever reason, I just felt like I couldn't. And I worried about the next time I would have to speak German because I felt like I couldn't do it. Doing the Lingoda language sprint where I had to speak every single day definitely pushed me outside of my comfort zone because I was worried at first if I was going to be able to follow the class, if I was going to be able to say enough, if everyone else was going to be able to have a conversation and I was going to be able to throw a few words in, but obviously not be at the same level as everyone else. And doing this challenge really pushed me past this mental block and got rid of that reservation because it was so much proof that I could speak. And it forced me to confront that thing that worried me and scared me every single day. So that way, by the end of the month, it was really no big deal. And I think pushing myself out of my comfort zone with that not only benefited my German, but probably has benefited my language learning overall. I know also some of the first italki lessons I ever took were when I did the Add One challenge back in 2016. And I only took them because we had to have conversations as part of the Add One challenge. If I wanted to complete the challenge and win the challenge, I had to take lessons. And I don't know if I necessarily would have taken them then if it weren't for the challenge kind of forcing me to do that and pushing me out of my comfort zone, because they were so scary to me at the time. And doing them as part of the challenge showed me that I did not need to be scared of them. Even though I definitely remained anxious about them for years to come afterwards as I kind of worked through some of that anxiety, I at least saw that it was something that I could do and something that I could continue to work on, and I didn't need to be as scared of it as I was. Overall, I feel like challenges really push you to get out of your head and do things that will help you kind of complete that challenge, even if they're really, really scary. And then by the time the challenge ends, you get to see that you can do that, and it really benefits you moving forward. I think being pushed outside of your comfort zone is crucial to learning a new language, because I think there's so many times when you're learning a new language that you are confronted with needing to move outside of your comfort zone. Even if that's something simple like moving on to a slightly harder book that you're reading, or speaking with someone else in your target language, or asking for help when there's a grammar point that you don't understand. Overall, language learning is something that is going to push you outside of your comfort zone, but I think you can get yourself pushed out a little bit quicker with challenges, and those challenges can then help you get through that initial push and help you see that you're capable of a lot more than you might be thinking. Challenges can definitely be done on your own, but they're also a great way to find a sense of community within your language learning. Mini Immersion and the 40-hour 7 days language challenge are both great examples of this, because there are people who will post their updates on Twitter and Instagram and other online language communities. In the sense of Mini Immersion, there's a Discord you can participate in. And so if you've been looking to make friends in the language community, or you're looking for a little bit of accountability and support from others, language challenges are a great way to find people and to get some of that accountability and support immediately. And the great thing is, in cases where social media is involved, the language challenge does not need to be the end of that friendship and accountability and support. There are definitely so many accounts that I have found because I've been participating in a challenge and I've looked through the photos or posts that other people have made about the challenge, and then I've started following them as a result of that, and have gotten to see their updates beyond just the challenge. And I think challenges where there's a lot of progress sharing involved are really good for just showing you that there are other people going through the same things as you. Even though language learning is so inherently social, I think a lot of us do it on our own and we're self-studying things, and it can become a little bit lonely. And I think it's really easy when you are constantly seeing then updates of people saying that they learned a language in 2 months or passed this really hard exam in less than a year, to feel like you're not doing well enough and to feel like you're really alone in all of the things that you're struggling with learning a new language. And seeing other people post about how they're approaching challenges and the struggles that they're going through and the successes that they're seeing can show you that you are definitely not alone in feeling all the things that you're feeling. I've definitely been pretty absent from social media this year. I have not been posting as many videos either, and as a result, I've lost a bit of that sense of community that I normally have when I get to talk to all of you about the things that we're doing in our language learning. But language challenges have given me a chance to stay connected with that, even if I'm not on Twitter all the time posting my Glossika challenge updates and seeing other people's Glossika challenge updates. Gave me a chance to feel like I was a part of something again, and gave me a chance to connect with people even in really quick bursts. I'm honestly hoping in the future maybe I can set up a challenge and kind of facilitate some of that community, because honestly I just love it so much. I know earlier I talked a lot about how challenges are not usually very sustainable and you can't necessarily directly translate things into your routine, but I think that less intensive challenges are actually a really great way to help build habits. For example, I'm actually doing 2 challenges like this right now. I am currently doing a challenge that is a variation on the 100 Days of Language challenge, where I want to study at least 80 out of the last 100 days of the year, and I'm also doing a challenge where I do some sort of study or activity, literally anything in Italian, every single day in the month of November. And challenges like these are so great for building habits because they give you that accountability and motivation to stick with whatever it is that you're trying to do while you're still in the process of building a habit. You know, when you say you're going to do something at a certain amount of frequency and then life gets really busy or you just end up forgetting, challenges give you a nice little boost of motivation and accountability to push you to actually do the thing even when things are getting really busy, really hectic, and just to to remind you that it exists. That way you push through it, you're still doing it, and then by the end of the challenge, you've just built a habit. And lastly, my final point on why I personally love language challenges and encourage everyone to at least give them a shot is that they're fun and they change up the way you're learning and keep it interesting. That's it. That's the final statement. But seriously, going back to everything I said earlier about hunting for the most efficient way to learn a language and people posting progress updates of having learned in a really, really quick amount of time and dealing with other people's expectations for you and your own expectations for you, it's so easy to get caught up on all of that and lose focus of simply enjoying the language that you're learning and enjoying the process of learning it and enjoying wherever you're at right now. While there is a threshold where you'll be able to do more in your target language, I really, really do feel like it is a process that is ongoing forever. And even if that weren't the case, in a few years you could just be done learning. You'd never have to maintain it, never have to learn new terms, never have to improve your writing or speaking or anything. That's still a lot of time that you're putting into the language, and I don't think you should have to hate any of that time. Who cares if a method is more efficient and will help you learn faster if you really hate it? Especially when you're more likely to actually use your target language and actually make progress in it if you're enjoying the things that you're doing and you want to spend time using it and learning it. And I think that language challenges are great for that because I think that they are fun. That's it. That's my thesis statement. So overall, are language challenges necessary for your language learning? Absolutely not. But I do think that they're a great way to have fun, to motivate yourself, to change things up, and to make progress. I've definitely been enjoying this goal of doing a challenge per language this year to give myself time to make languages that are not usually a priority for me a priority for a week or a month or whatever, to try out new ways of learning and to just generally boost my confidence and my motivation and my excitement with my language learning. And of course, as I've said a million times this video, to just have some fun. If you've ever participated in a language challenge, I would love to hear which one you participated in and what your experience with it was. If you've never participated in one but are considering doing one, I would love to know about that. I will see you in the next video, and remember, practice makes progress.